This is the story of a great motoring adventure in the mountains of Austria, Italy and Yugoslavia. The story of the 1989 Pirelli Classic Marathon, the longest rally of its kind ever run, nearly 2,000 miles across 6 countries for cars over 20 years old, reviving the spirit of that golden age in the 1950s when the British looked unbeatable rallying in the Alps and the Dolomites. It all started at Tower Bridge in London on a sunny Sunday morning in June. 113 crews faced a week at the wheel, among them 5 famous names. What did they think about the marathon?
At my age, at least, I think it is great, and I think it should also be good for the young people to see what was going on in the past.
Do we still need amateurs in rallying?
Of course, amateurs. Without amateurs, there would be no rally sport. I think you have a handful of professionals, but the rally sport is really an amateur sport.
I mean, when we're all so bored driving on motorways nowadays, the Alpine Pass in the summer is something totally different, and especially if there's no policemen around and there's hopefully nothing coming the other way, it should even be better fun. I think the most difficult, well, it is, I mean, the altitudes are difficult. You've got high altitudes, therefore you lose power in your engines. Things like the Stelvio and the Gavia are very unique roads, and I hope always will be.
If you are driving rally, you have to be very strong, willing to win, and because you don't see anybody else, it's just racing for the time. In racing circuit, you see many other cars, same time, and you know how fast everybody else is doing. Rallying is very much different, and if you don't have very strong, willing to win, you never win. You're always second or third.
I think it's going to be a sting in the tail. I think the first few days are going to be relatively easy. Long days, but relatively easy. And I think when we take it in the mountains and into Italy, then I think we just have to work for a living.
It amazes me, the enthusiasm of the people here to come here at this time. I mean, I found it hard enough, and I'm taking part. So these poor devils who aren't coming here just to see us go off, I think it is fantastic.
The 1988 winners, Atkins and Lyle, were first away. Triumph TR4. Paddy Hopkirk teamed with Alec Poole again in a Mini Cooper S. Mike and Gina Barker, Jaguar XK120. Roger Clark and Tony Mason, Ford Cortina. Griffiths and Garside, Healy Silverstone. Sterling Moss, one of only 2 men ever to receive a Gold Cup for winning the Alpine Rally 3 times in a row. Now he has American journalist Gene Lindemood to navigate his MGB. Fraser Nash, Daimler, Alvis, Sunbeam, milestones in our motoring history. They were all there, back on active duty.
Thank you.
Moss and Lindemood are off. Soon it's the turn of the oldest competitor, 83-year-old Ralph Stokes.
What is the appeal of the event for you?
Well, having been rallying from 1936, you can't get it out of the blood.
26-year-old Henry Pearman is away in his E-Type Jaguar. In a 30-year-old Morgan Plus 4, Barry Taylor and Zoe Heritage. Whatever the age in cars and drivers, the challenge is the same. An MGTF from West Germany.
Why do you do the marathon?
Oh, well, it's a challenge for us. We got this car since 20 years, and we found it on the scrap. Now, on 20 years, we have on the peak to do it.
You come all the way from Germany.
We did, yeah.
What is the attraction of rallying for you?
Well, you know, to see whether yourself and the car keep going that long distance. It's a matter of discipline for yourself and the car, and the preparation. Once you have a car which is tough, you know, usually something with the car is wrong, like here, like there, but once you have start like this, everything is okay. It has to be.
And we are the only German team.
Okay. Wiedersehen.
Next stop, Ramsgate and the Channel ferry to Dunkirk. The 2-hour crossing to France was the only rest in over 12 hours of driving. Time to eat and sleep and enjoy the sunshine on a flat, calm sea. There was a short test at Pegwell Bay before boarding the Sally Line ferry, and Tony Dron became the rally leader on day 1. Paddy Hopkirk was quicker, but was penalised for clipping a pylon, though it didn't spoil the Ulsterman's appetite for lunch with Mackinnon and Moss. Stirling's co-driver, Jean Lindemood, teamed up with the motor racing hero almost by accident.
They asked me if I'd like a ride with Stirling, and I said, is the Pope Catholic? Do birds have pointy little lips?
What did you know of Stirling before you even took on this?
I know a lot about Stirling. His sister's an old friend of mine, and I stay, well, she and her husband Eric, and I stay with them frequently when I come to England. So if I didn't know who he was, I'd sure know by now, since everyone in England seems to know him. They point at him, they talk about him, they yell at him from their cars, the cab drivers, the policemen, and anyone on the street. I think he belongs to the country.
Bocrick, Belgium, the second test, Moss and Lindemood, MGB. Paddy Hopkirk, making that magic Mini Cooper sound. Roger Clark, Ford Cortina, still king of the forest stage. Everyone seemed to enjoy the Belgian test.
Marvellous, marvellous, marvellous. No restaurants on the way, though. I took my time. I was looking for taking the scenic route, looking for a little cup of coffee, you know, but it didn't happen.
How was the navigation on that? Did you manage to breathe?
Just about. Yes, the corners were a bit hairy, but I don't think we took any straw bales with us, so...
No, we'll have a change of underwear just down the road, I suppose.
Good morning. 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 How was it this morning?
Tremendous fun, yes, I enjoyed that. I'd love to do it again, having seen a little bit what the form was, but it was nice and quick and tremendous stuff, great stuff. We arrived at the end of the great lather. John got to the control on his knees because he nearly tumbled to bang the button, so we had a wonderful time.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Super.
Bye-bye.
Sunlight and shadow on the marathon trail through the Flemish farms of the Bocrick Museum. John Atkins, still limping from a ski accident, took it slowly in his TR4 after gear change and rotor arm troubles. The third speed test would be at the Nürburgring at midday. Roger Clark wanted to be there early. Some were in no hurry. A Monday morning drive through the Ardennes lay ahead. The average speed of about 30 miles an hour seemed comfortable. It was a perfect June day. Timo Mäkinen and Paul Easter lost several minutes in Belgium when a fuse to the fuel pump of their Healy failed. For the Flying Finn and his English navigator, this was only the first of many problems that day with electrics.
Unhappily, we broke one fuse and we stopped in stage for petrol pump.
No other problems with the Healy?
No, but just little electrics it can take.
It was going to be a long, hot day. The third speed test was on the old Nürburgring racing circuit. And there, where horsepower usually wins the day, Paddy Hopkirk's 1-litre Mini shared the fastest time with John Chatham's 3-litre Healy.
Right on.
12:44.40, wrong card. Test card.
It's fine. I didn't do it. I went into it too early, but it was fine. It was grand. Everything was grinding.
What's it like to be back in one of these little tin boxes?
Funnily enough, when I got into it at first, sorry, when I got into it at first, it seemed very unusual, but it feels quite normal. My brain must be. Bye-bye.
Roger Clark and Tony Mason, 2 seconds behind Hopkirk.
Thank you. 12:47.42. Did you start 2 minutes?
Well, there's no time card. I started to get worried halfway through. I thought I'd lost the test time card. They didn't.
You've got it there.
Nice. Oh, that was quite exciting.
The carousel is going to be difficult if we ever go round it backwards. That'll be difficult. But no, the carousel is... Yes, if you go too high and you drop a wheel out, then, of course, you can go straight off because the banking is fairly steep. So you can pull, shall we say, 1.5 or 2G, whereas on the road you'd only keep 1. So if you're going at 2G and you suddenly drop a wheel out, then, boy, you're off.
Sterling Moss at the carousel, but he gets a reversing test wrong and drops down the leaderboard.
Come on, Dean, run. 12:53.02.
How did we do?
On the first, the reversing thing, I mean, I hate to think how much I lost on that. I mean, it was really appalling. We tried to go the wrong side, had to go back over. How was Sterling's time on that?
Sterling did 4:02 and Paddy was 3:40. Roger 3:42.
Anthony Blight's Talbot, and it's 55 years old. Timo Mäkinen's Healy overheats on the old ring. More fuse trouble too. Everyone tackles the carousel in their own style. Pearman and Cruikshank find the 4-litre E-Type just the job. They move up to second place at the end of the day. Pirelli's UK tyre boss, Sandro Veronese, restored this Jaguar Mark 9 for Marco Marioni to drive. The West German pair, Jennings and Poppenseeker, on their home ground. A dodgy door lock nearly loses the Hall-Dixon Lancia its driver. John Chatham consolidates his overall lead, 19 seconds ahead of his nearest rivals, when the marathon stops for the second night at the Rhineland cathedral town of Speyer. Anthony Blight and James Fack had the oldest car in the event, but after 550 miles of competitive motoring from London, their 1934 Talbot was trouble-free except for a loose windscreen.
Rather a lot of traffic and pretty hard work, really. Actually, we stayed too long there. We had a lunch in the restaurant. It was half an hour late. We had a lot of time to make up. It has been quite hard work. Very pretty country and lovely roads.
Yep, okay. Back to with the wheels, actually.
This is a fairly good hook and line. Could be the ideal place to get hold of them.
Fred.
So then we can have another go at
Fred.
the exhaust on the carburetors.
Timo Mäkinen must have been glad to see the back of Monday. He was now 66th.
No, we get it right now.
Yeah?
Because we have some problem with the petrol pump fuse many times. But now we rewire direct from the battery for the petrol pump.
Yeah. Okay.
Look all right.
Oh, good. So when you came in at Nürburgring,
Yes.
at the end of that, you still had a little problem, but since then it's all
Yes.
fine. Great. Oh, that's good. Now, you can have a drink over there.
Very good.
Okay, should be nice and cool for you.
Thank you.
But at the Hockenheim test next morning, Mäkinen was fastest of them all. And now the marathon began to bite, with a 300-mile drive to Merano, over the mountain passes of Austria and Italy. The June weather stayed warm. The scenery was spectacular, but until they climbed above the snow line, traffic was quite heavy, and the road became worse towards the end. Not all of them would reach Merano. The first taste of high altitude was the climb to the frontier of Italy on the Rombo Pass. This is how Sterling Moss overtakes Roger Clark on the way up to the border, 8,000 feet above sea level.
I'm concerned about understeer, overdrive, you know. I mean, I must say, it feels very nice. I will say that. Very nice. Trying very willing. Bit hot. Bit of a concern. Oh, we're catching up a bit, I think. I think we are. You can use the horn if you like. Okay. Let me know when you're doing it. Otherwise, I'll use somebody coming towards us. You know what I mean?
Last one right past Roger. Oh, the view to the left is magnificent. I just think we just came from there.
Not too much to get the noise. Now, of course, we've got all that depth. Only for people coming rather than going. Now, here we are. See if we can... Customs.
Hi, guys.
Oh,
Really nice.
go on, get on with it.
They both ducked.
All right.
They have cameras. I think we surprised them.
The run down the Rombo into Italy was a real cliffhanger, with unlit tunnels, fresh roadworks, and uphill traffic to add some spice. It was a needle match for positions, too. Only 30 seconds between the first six. Henry Pearman handled his E-Type Jaguar brilliantly to maintain third place over 100 miles of hairpins. The race downhill to Merano was on. Six cars made it to Merano. Once in the valley, it was an easy drive through a Tyrolean landscape of dairy farms and lush meadows. The heat and the pressure of the day were nearly over, and soon after 7 on this Tuesday evening, Dave Preece and Mike Ridley were the first to appear at the Kurhaus control, having retired their Mini with oil pressure too low to continue to compete. Roger Clark's Ford Cortina needed a new petrol pump, and navigator Tony Mason didn't think they'd find a new one overnight in Murano.
No, we're searching every garage that we can find in Murano at the moment. It's a special fuel pump, it's the Bendix, isn't it? And they're not sort of available in, it's an out-of-date car, you see, so it's not actually on the shelf now, so...
After 12 hours non-stop motoring, Murano was a welcome break for Ian Grant and Peter Rubin in their TR3. For Roger Bowen and Steve Durbin in their Lancia Aurelia, and for John Chatham, Picky Thompson and Henry Pearman, lying 1, 2, 3. For Barry Taylor in his 9th placed Morgan, the small ceremonies of welcome were sealed with a kiss. Murano said welcome to the marathon with flowers, wine and a good dinner. The drivers needed it. Next day was the Stelvio. Stelvio, Roger Eland's Jaguar hit the rock face in an unlit tunnel and retired. On tow with the wreckage, Roger fell 50 feet off a cliff and survived unhurt. Then there was the Garbia, with Picky Thompson holding on to 2nd overall in his Cortina. Tony Dron's MGB, with John Chatham hard on his heels in the Healy. Within the hour, Chatham would crash on the Viviani. Bright sunshine, blue skies and snow-capped mountains greeted the cars on the top of the Garbia. But the descent was slow and rough below the tree line. Alpine Cups would not come easy this year. Lynn Vinton and Julie Naylor, Healy Sprite, on leave from Pirelli's tyre factory at Burton-on-Trent and aiming for the ladies' prize. Like 100 other crews, they'd be glad to get back to Murano in one piece on Wednesday night after 10 hours of mountain motoring, however spectacular. Thursday, Marathon Day 5, Murano to Cortina and the Dolomites. No tests, but plenty of mountain summitry. 7 hours at the wheel, starting in the rosy pink light of dawn. At the passage control on the Pennis Pass, Sterling Moss and Jean Lindemood in high spirits. Chetham's crash on the Vivione had moved them up to 3rd overall, and their MGB still sounded sweet.
Right, on the way down.
You are good.
Pretty good, thanks. Yeah, pretty good. Surprising, actually, because I didn't, you know, you don't get much sleep, do you? But tell you what, come on.
Right, you take care of the tunnels on the way down.
Well, we're trying to save the brakes, you see.
Yeah.
We haven't any spares.
Well, there's a lot of water around, so that'll cool them down.
A lot of water. Only if they get hot, old boy.
Less than a minute of penalties and the rally leaders in their E-Type Jaguar. But Henry Pearman and his navigator, motoring editor Gordon Cruikshank, were driving to a very careful plan. Quiet and cool, with plenty in reserve. Not everyone was so sure of cruising to Cortina, and the friendly help of control officials was warmly welcome on cold, dark mornings like these on the Passo Pennis.
Okay, great, thanks.
Bells and a band, kisses and clapping at Cortina d'Ampezzo for the leading trio, Pearman, Thompson, Moss.
I just like to come back here with the wife and have a ride through here and be able to look at the scenery, because it's absolutely, you know, fantastic for someone who lives on a flat plain of York to come up here. It's a wonderful place.
Numero 3, una Jaguar XK120, 3442 di cilindrata, guidata da Mike Berger.
Pass me a screwdriver of some description, the blue handle one.
You haven't seen the other bit of home repair work that we did today. When the radiator was overheating, he thought there was a leak, so Roger sent me into the grocer's shop to buy 3 bottles of water and 2 fresh eggs. And the woman looked at me as I was completely mad. And Roger popped the eggs in the radiator and seemed to solve the problem. And the temperature has stayed normal since then.
At Cortina, there were 3 hours for service. Time for Sterling to talk about his 5 days at the wheel with Jean Lindemood.
She made one small mistake and she's been controllable since then. She's been very good since that.
What was the small mistake?
What did he say? He's talking about what did he say?
He said, how are you? I said, you're controllable. But one small mistake. One small mistake. And everything's all right.
The small mistake this morning was to listen to him while he was talking to me instead of looking at the book, knowing I had nothing else to go by, no trip meter. I should have been looking at the book, looking at the map, and telling him to be quiet.
Absolutely true. But I must say,
I made up for it later.
Amazing. She has made it. She's done an amazing job. I must say, to get here without a speedometer, without any of that stuff, and without following cars.
I can't take the credit for that because the book is so well done. This is 2 minutes.
Friday, another 12-hour day on the road. Cortina to Yugoslavia and back, and overnight the dry June weather was broken by heavy rain. Reports of a landslide on an old Liège rally stage led the organisers to signpost a diversion on the eastward leg. But some markers were lost, and many competitors, including Roger Clark, decided to stick to the road this classic Liège stage on which Pat Moss drove to victory in 1960. This forest track over the Passo Lanza to Pontebba was just about the worst stretch of road on the whole marathon, with broken asphalt, rocks, mud and gravel made loose by the downpour in the night. Keith Clement's Giant Jupiter and Jeff McCauley's Javelin picked their way through with care. Uwe Anderson was another of the famous 5 to rally the Pontebba section the hard way. With Mike Greasley navigating, the Swedish ace didn't want to break his Toyota, not least because it was the star of the James Bond movie, You Only Live Twice. 9 lives would have been useful in these conditions. Paddy Hopkirk and Alec Poole hustle their Mini Cooper towards the Yugoslav border. No chance now of an Alpine Cup, but game as ever. The first 5 cars were unchanged on the return to Cortina that Friday night, but only just. The leading Jaguar had no less than 3 punctures, not on Pirelli, I might add. And Sterling Moss was quite glad to be back from behind the Iron Curtain, too.
Actually, there were tax-free shops and everything, and it was quite good. The prices were much the same as anywhere else, you know, but the coffee wasn't as nice as ours.
A rain-soaked Mike and Gina Barker were not so happy.
Yugoslavia is very pretty indeed. But we weren't that happy with leaving 6 coaches going up the test hill. So there we are. You win some, you lose some. We lost.
We've had very few who have actually fallen by the wayside, and it's caught the organisers by surprise. We've got one more day of rallying left. There are too many Alpine Cup winners, there are too many survivors to attend the prize giving. So the Yugoslavian loop is going to be the loop that we hope will have shaken it up, sorted out the men from the boys, and of course there's 2 hill climbs to come tomorrow.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! 2, 1, go! 3,
Saturday, day 7, the final test. A 3-mile sprint up to the summit of the Tre Cime. The rally leaders, Pearman and Cruikshank, clocked 4 minutes 27. They had won the Pirelli Classic Marathon in a very second-hand car with 90,000 miles on the clock.
Well done. 10:57, 27.
Thompson and Ganderton, Ford Lotus Cortina, also did 4:27. This confirmed their second place.
That will do for me.
Sterling Moss and Jean Lindemood, again 4 minutes 27. Their third position overall was secure.
Not going to do it, Fred, now. 13, 14, 15, 16, no way. No.
Sterling's third.
Ten, 29, 59, 27. I've run all of them.
3 cars exactly the same time.
Good, great. All three the same. Come on.
Fastest of all on the 2 final tests were Timo Mäkinen and Paul Easter. Their 27-year-old Healy made a storming finish, promoting them from 18th to 6th. Timo, at the peak of his career, often drove with Henry Lydon, tragically killed in an air accident rallying in West Africa in 1987. In memory of this outstanding Englishman, the Henry Lydon Trophy is to be awarded each year to the best navigator on the Pirelli Classic Marathon. Gordon Cruikshank wins it as navigator to Henry Pearman.
The car's been brilliant. We had no problems with the car at all. All we had to do is keep putting, well, the big problem was putting fuel in it, but apart from that, it's been very good. But we had a major problem yesterday. We got 3 punctures, each in different sections. And like the third one, we'd run out of wheels to change, so we had to change the inner tube by the side of the road. So that was a real panic to get and stay in the rally, and we thought we were out then. We just made it in time.
Well, he's shown some brilliant car control skills here. I knew he was quick because he was 5th last year. But what he's learned on last year's event is to pace himself, which was so vital on this event. Brakes particularly, looking after the engine. I've been able to do an average all the time to say it's okay, we're up or down on time. And he's relaxed when we've had time in hand in order to ease the strain on the car. And when we've really been under pressure, he's pulled extraordinary capabilities out of the hat. I've seen some tremendous driving.
So the Pirelli Classic Marathon was won by a Jaguar enthusiast from Maidstone who's only 4 years older than his winning E-Type. 3 MGs in the first 6, a Ford Lotus Cortina, an Austin Healey 3000, 28 Alpine Cups were awarded. The true spirit of the Classic Marathon is perhaps best expressed by the winners of the Ladies' Prize, Lynn Vinton and Julie Naylor. New to rallying, they got their Healey Sprite to the finish, running out of fuel even as they neared the last control.
Still, there must be a bit of leeway, be optimistic.
We're at the top of the Gravio, just starting the descent.
On the gravel?
And we hit the gravel. It's very gravelly. And we got a sheer drop one side. And Lynn said to me, something just fell onto my lap. And I said, it's probably raining. She said, no, something else has fallen onto my lap. And I turned and looked, and the steering wheel was dropping to pieces. And she sat there and she said, oh, Julie, look, and pulled the steering wheel out. And I said, stop the car, forget the penalties, we'll walk. The first 3 days we thought, this is a doddle. They've been kidding us along here.
No penalties,
wonderful. No penalties, wonderful. All these other people were breaking down. I mean, I didn't want them to break down, but they were clocking up penalties, and I thought, Lynn, I said, I don't know what these men are on about. Typical men, you know.
Red card! Get that door open, Jules. Give a man a job to do and he talks about it. Give it to a woman and she does it. That's so right.
Go!
It won't.
Go, go! Dip the clutch.
I am.
And the famous five, what's their verdict on the Pirelli Classic Marathon?
I think I enjoyed the spirit of the event. Maybe it took me back some years when I started rallying and you have to do your own service on the cars and so on, but it's so different today and it's so much more professional and so much less enjoyable in general terms than it used to be, and it's been very good. I think the general atmosphere throughout all the competitors has been terrific. Everyone's enjoyed themselves and it's been a good week.
It's brought rallying back to the likes of Alec and I, and from that point of view, it's terrific. I would like to see the test downhill, so the car doesn't matter so much, the driver matters more. But I think it's very good, and I hope this develops into a terrific event, an annual event, and I'll certainly love to come on it again if I'm asked.
Of course, it's many members, but I'm always willing to win very much, and when I'm special state I drive, and I like to drive closed road. You know, if you have special state is closed, it's very nice to use the whole road.
Now, one thing we want today is fuel.
In fact, they say an extra time allowance is given, not much, is given to the time control to 29.
Let Sterling Moss have the final word. His drive with Jean Lindemood was one of the success stories of the week. How did they get on in what for both of them was an unusual partnership?
13 kilometers.
She says extraordinary things. I mean, you know, that I've learned quite a few words I don't know that I used before. She is a character, and I enjoyed it. And if I had the chance of doing another one with her, I'd like to do it. I don't know if she would with me. It seemed to me, rather, as I said to her, rather like Blind Date. And, you know, by the sense one thing, you know what the other one's going to say.
Let's have a look at the book when we stop at this time control. Get book number 2 out of the trunk and have a look at that and see how early our test is.
But what you need is a car that is balanced, and that's why I'm very impressed with little MG that Ron's done for me. You come down the mountain, you let the steering wheel spin through your hands and collect it, and the car really gives me a feeling that it wants to do it and it's enjoying it, you know. I mean, cars are very like women, and I feel that we're at one and getting on with it, and I sort of stroke it as we come up the hills. She's not very quick, but my goodness, she'll do what I want her to do, and that's what I think is a lot of it.
All one wants to take is a fraction off a little bit each time would be a help.
The Pirelli Classic Marathon recreates the golden age of British rallying. But what makes that era so special?
We were building the best cars then. They were solid. They had fairly good performance. There were problems with them, but they were good. Unfortunately, now I don't know that we do build. Well, now of course rallies don't exist in the way they did, but the rally cars are now very special. You've got all these Group B and so on, which is virtually a racing car with four-wheel drive, and so you can't really compare it. And I think that when the era of rallying was for this type of car, we were building good cars. Mind you, so were the Germans and the French and so on, but I think the Englishmen were at the top as well.